Donald Trump has finally directly appealed to China for help in ending the war with Iran, or will he continue to pretend that he can solve this issue on his own? And how can China help Donald Trump with this issue? This is the most important question of the day, because while everyone is discussing trade and Taiwan, the real issue at stake in the summit between Donald Trump and Xi Jinping is Iran. And this is exactly where Beijing has the greatest leverage over Washington, and Xi Jinping will definitely use it in other matters. In this episode, we'll analyze how China can help Donald Trump end the war with Iran and what it will demand in return. I'm Alexei Pecci, let's discuss this together. But before we start, please subscribe to this YouTube channel, like this episode, and leave any comment under this video. This really helps a lot in promoting the content on YouTube, and I'd appreciate it. Also, subscribe to my Telegram channel Pecci News, the link to it is in the description of this video. So, let's start with the most pressing question. Oil. Brent crude oil futures are moving towards $110 per barrel. About 20% of the world's oil and gas supplies normally pass through the Hormuz Strait. But since the start of the war in the Middle East, the strait has been blocked or is operating with restrictions. About 1,600 ships are now waiting in line. This means a consistently high level of oil prices, and this affects everyone, the US, Europe, and Asia, including China. And this is where the main story begins. China is the largest consumer of Iranian oil. Before the conflict began, about 20% of the world's oil and gas supplies passed through the Strait of Hormuz, and a significant portion of these supplies went specifically to China. Just last week, Beijing hosted Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi. Wang Yi, China's top diplomat, confirmed the strategic partnership between the two countries while at the same time urging Tehran to seek a diplomatic resolution. This is a typical Chinese position. You tell Iran to calm down, but you don't break off any relations with them and you keep buying their oil. Trump said the following before flying to Beijing, and I quote, "I don't think we need any help with Iran. We will win one way or another, either peacefully or by other means." And then he added that there would be, and I quote, "a long conversation about Iran in Beijing." Well, officially he denies needing help and then immediately goes to Beijing for help. This is actually a well-known diplomatic tactic. Never admit that you came because you need something. So there's actually no contradiction here at all. But let's discuss what China can actually do. How can it help Donald Trump end the war with Iran? Some officials in the US believe that Trump is entering a meeting where Xi Jinping actually holds the cards. He has them. Beijing's specific levers are as follows. First, to stop or reduce purchases of Iranian oil, which would deprive Tehran of a critical source of income. Can China do this? Easily, because China has a strategic oil reserve that would last at least 6 months without any oil imports at all, so they were prepared for this. Second, directly put pressure on the Iranian leadership through diplomatic channels. Can they? Yes, they can. Third, become a mediator in the negotiations, allowing both sides to save face. And in Washington, by the way, they've already called to get rid of Pakistan as a mediator in negotiations with Iran, because Pakistan is playing quite a cunning game. On one hand, Pakistan seems to be in favor of ending the war, but on the other hand, behind America's back, they've already made a deal with Iran to supply liquefied natural gas from Qatar. But objectively, China is not obligated to do any of the things mentioned, and it's not really in its interests, and it won't do it. Well, at least not for free. So the question is, what will Beijing demand in return? The first and most painful thing, Washington's stance on Taiwan. Concerns in Washington that Trump might make some comment or agree to change the language regarding the status quo are now realistic. Even an ambiguous softening of rhetoric on Taiwan is a huge concession. Just 2 weeks ago, Bloomberg wrote that Taiwan is afraid of ending up on the agenda of the Trump-Xi summit. Taipei is genuinely concerned that Trump might promise something to Xi Jinping in exchange for help with Iran. The second demand from Beijing is the removal or easing of export restrictions on semiconductors from the United States of America. This is the same story with chips. Beijing is seeking to ease American restrictions on the export of chip-making equipment and advanced semiconductors. For China, this is an existential issue. It's about technological sovereignty. If the US removes even some of the restrictions, Beijing gains a strategy, a technological advantage in the race for dominance in artificial intelligence and semiconductors. Third, rare earth metals. China can use its control over rare earth supplies against Trump. Beijing controls about 80% of the world's mining and processing of rare earth metals. Without them, it's impossible to produce electric vehicles, military equipment, chips, and so on. The restrictions on the export of these rare earths, already imposed by China, have hit global car manufacturers. So this is the trump card that Beijing can either play or withdraw, but in exchange for concessions. And here's where it gets most interesting. China shares Washington's interest in stability in the Hormuz Strait, but it cannot afford to make concessions that would undermine its partnership with Tehran or create reputational risks from the failure of any mediation. China cannot publicly abandon Iran. Well, that would destroy its position as a reliable partner for the non-Western world. The most that is realistic, I think, is this kind of quiet diplomacy. Beijing can gently nudge Tehran toward a more flexible negotiating position without announcing it publicly. And they'll get something from Donald Trump for it, also behind the scenes. This is a form of behind-the-scenes diplomacy. In the end, here's how it looks to me. Donald Trump is going to Beijing from a position of weakness. The war with Iran has reached a dead end. The ceasefire, as Trump himself said, is barely holding on. Oil is above $100. His approval rating is falling. Xi Jinping receives him from a position of strength. The economy is, well, more or less stable. Relations with Iran are strong. Rare earth metals are under control. And ahead, which is very important, is Vladimir Putin's visit to Beijing. Only after Donald Trump leaves. This order of visits, first Trump, then Putin, is very telling in itself. Beijing is talking to both sides at the same time, and both need him more than he needs them. That's why the only thing that could work is if Trump offers Xi Jinping something truly significant, a freeze or lifting of some chip restrictions, some serious signal regarding Taiwan, a large-scale trade agreement, and so on. Then China might, I emphasize, quietly put pressure on Iran. But if this deal does happen, it will never be announced publicly. That's something we won't hear about. We'll find out about it by the results. Either Iran will soften its position in a few weeks, or it won't. That will be the answer to the question of what Donald Trump and Xi Jinping really agreed on behind closed doors. I'll leave it at that for now. Share your opinions and conclusions in the comments below this video. Don't forget to leave a like. If you want to support the work of this YouTube channel, you can do so financially with any donation or a paid membership using the links and details in the description of this video or by scanning the QR code on your screen. I would appreciate any support from you. That's all for now. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye, everyone.